There are certain texts that communities fall in love with, and it seems to me that this is one of ours. The very last section of Mishnah Ta'anit teaches that Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel said there were no days as joyous for the Jewish people as the 15th of Av and Yom Kippur. What is the link between Yom Kippur and Tu B'Av? One of the most profound answers from our tradition is that what links them is that they are both days of joy. Tu B'Av is a day of love. Many people know the continuation of the Mishnah that I quoted, that on Tu B'Av, all the women of Jerusalem would borrow white clothing from each other so nobody could tell who was rich and who was poor. And they would dance in the vineyards in what reads as the Mishnaic model for our people's first ever speed dating event. And Yom Kippur is a day of joy for the atonement, for rebuilding of relationship and so much more. And I have to say that coming off Yom Kippur this year at IKAR, it registered with me, and I have been hearing with many of you as well, as a day of truly great joy, the most joyous certainly that I have ever attended. But here's the thing. If that, then why is it Sukkot and only Sukkot that is called Zman Simchatenu, which means the season of our joy? And why is the Sukkah the Jewish symbol for joy, coming as it does only a matter of days after Yom Kippur? I want to offer one interpretation. Sukkot has more than one name in the Torah. In the very first of the Jewish calendars there, the one in Mishpatim with which we are least familiar, Sukkot is called Chag HaAsif, the festival of ingathering or collecting. And in context there, the ingathering is the harvest. But I want to suggest that Sukkot, and the Sukkah in particular, are themselves containers for joy. All of that joy that we generated on Yom Kippur, that is pointing us towards Sukkot, and it is Sukkot that will help us gather it in. So I want to share 3 suggestions for Sukkot, which starts on Monday night, to help us gather joy. I want to start with a practical suggestion. A decoration. And what is good about a decoration is that you don't need to build a sukkah in order to get yourself a sukkah decoration. For years, for decades, I lived in apartments and I couldn't celebrate Sukkot at home. And I wish I'd known that you can start small with a picture or with an ornament or with something else to hang on your wall. Sukkot is the most embodied of our festivals and the one with the most complicated physicality. So pick a physical thing. You don't have to do a full build. Just pick one thing that is meaningful or funny or both. A while ago, an enterprising marketer on Amazon was selling assemble-it-yourself boxes for Sukkot, about the right size for carrying an etrog. Lovely idea. Absolutely lovely. The only problem was that the Hebrew was reversed on the box, and so it reads, Tuchas. One of these boxes has become one of our most beloved Sukkah decorations. So start with just one thing to remind you that it's Sukkot and to remind you that this is a season of joy. A second idea, and this one is not a physical one. The Sukkah is not the only fragile representation of a home in our tradition. At a Jewish wedding, the partners stand together under the chuppah as a symbol of the home that they are beginning to build together. The chuppah is a house without walls, a home that is permeable. But, as I glean from the Song of Songs, such a house is ratzuf ahava. It's lined with love. At every wedding, we welcome the spouses to the chuppah with an invocation, the Mi Adir. May the one who is mighty and blessed and great and outstanding over all bless this pair. May the divine stand here with us today. And then it's my practice to welcome the spouse's ancestors to the chuppah, those who are no longer in the world, who cannot be with us in body, but who are here nonetheless because love draws love. And it's the same with the sukkah, our other temporary home. A sukkah too is ratzuf ahava. Our love, our capacity to love despite everything, draws invisible guests to share in our joy. The walls of a sukkah are very thin, and our ghosts can find us there more easily than at any other time of year. Not only the ghosts of our own families, but others who, as the Zohar puts it, dwell in the shade of faith. My friend Jacqueline Nichols is a visual artist, and one of her talents is paper cutting. I remember one year that she crafted tiny, intricate paper chairs for her chosen guests, artists and people from history, and people from myth and story. And whether we build a sukkah at home or not, Sukkot is a time to invoke and to invite our ancestors, our heroes, our role models, our inspirations. The formula is tivu, tivu, ushpizin, ilain. Come in and sit, exalted guests. So it's not till Monday. We have time to plan. Who will you invite to share joy this Sukkot? And one more suggestion. Author and designer Ingrid Fettel-Lee writes and teaches that joy is a form of resistance. She wants us to remember the power of small moments of joy, the moments that are precisely the first thing to go when we begin to be stressed or anxious or in crisis. And this is what she writes, I quote, "It's tempting to postpone joy when we're at an intense period at work, for example, and to try to push through until we've achieved our goal. I also talk to many people who feel guilty experiencing or expressing joy, while others around them are struggling. But research shows that little moments of joy can help our bodies recover from the physiological effects of stress, and they can help us find meaning and purpose in tragic events. Rather than being a distraction, when we allow ourselves a moment of joy, it creates a respite that makes us more resilient." And so she suggests a practice of joy spotting. Joy spotting is bringing your attention to a single small thing that brings joy. Rabbi Panitz might say one spark, that is right there in your immediate environment. The way the light is falling through the leaves of a tree, the smell of coffee, the hoot of an owl in the darkness, something tiny. But we pause to take notice of it, and quietly we gather it in, because it will help us be resilient when the time comes. The walls of a sukkah are temporary and the roof is full of holes. It has to be full of holes, or the sukkah isn't kosher. And it's as if those small spaces were designed to help us joy spot, because only small things can come through. So, how will you gather joy this Sukkot? Will it be through decoration? Will it be through invitation? Will it be through cultivation? I can tell you this, and of this I am certain: joy doesn't stay. Please don't expect it to stay. Just like at the end of a wedding, when the glass is broken and shatters into fragments and the couple's joy is released, the joy of Sukkot needs to fly out and to heal all of the broken places in the world. Our joy will leak through the gaps in the Sukkah walls. Our joy will fly away through the holes in the Sukkah's roof. But gathering joy remains a sacred endeavor, and joy heals. Joy heals. And we human beings can live off one moment of joy for a very, very long time. Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach.